Oh my. I wasn't sure I was ever going to get up here. Good evening, everybody. And let me start tonight by thanking Jerry Quinn and all the good folks at the Mayo Society for planning what's going to be an absolute fabulous evening. Thank you for bringing us to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As Greg said, there's so many fun things to see and do here tonight, so we're looking forward to our time together here. And I want to thank all of you for being here as well, for supporting the good work of this organization. You know, a number of years ago, I was with a colleague of mine who was retiring. And I was sitting in his office, and he was telling me that he was in his declining years. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty harsh statement. And I felt that he was really feeling rather blue about stepping away from the active leadership of a company on a day-to-day basis. And I said, well, you're not declining at all. You're a hale and hearty man. You traveled the world, you ski, you golf, and he just kept insisting he was in his declining years. And finally, after continuing to try to harangue him and lift his spirits, he said, Chris, you don't get it. I'm in my declining years. People keep asking me to do things like this. I'm declining all of them. I'm not doing any of this stuff anymore. Well, I'm in my declining years too, but I'm here tonight because I have enormous respect for the collegiality, the determination, the dignity of the Irish people. And to be in a room like this surrounded by Irish men and women is a big thrill for me. And finally, the admiration for the good work of the Mayo Society. This organization has been around for decades and decades and decades, doing the important work of welcoming Irish to our community, and more recently connecting us to County Mayo and the University of Galway, etc., sponsoring scholarships, really doing important work. So for all those reasons, I'm thrilled to be here tonight with all of you. I remember my very first trip to Ireland. I want to tell you about this trip because I made a very serious tactical error. It was about 20-some years ago. It was a business trip. We had been in the UK on business, and we were taking a morning flight to Ireland to do store visits and meet with some of our customers, and then I had a late afternoon flight out of Ireland back onto the continent. And our local sales leader, Patrick Burns, greets us at the airport, and he says, Chris, we're so glad you're here. And we've got you here in Ireland, and as an Irishman myself, and I know you're of Irish heritage, it's my responsibility to ensure that on your first visit, we get you into a pub. I said, Patrick, that's lovely, but we're working here, and we don't really drink and work together too many days at Sherwin, and I just prefer that we get out and meet as many of our customers as we can. So off we go to our first visit. We're back in the car after the first hardware store, and he goes, Chris, are you sure that I can't get you into a pub? I mean, I just feel horrible about this, that you've come all this way, and it's your first visit, you really need to get into a pub. And I'm like, Patrick, I understand. It's my fault. It's my scheduling error. I'm in charge of this schedule. I should have thought this through better. I promise I'll come back and I'll stay longer. He's still very troubled by this. We go on to our next visit with the next customer. We come out of that one. One more time he comes at me with this pub visit. He really would like me to get into a pub. And I said, well, Patrick, if we have a little extra time in our schedule, I would just prefer to gather with our employees. Let's get our salesmen and saleswomen together and just have a little time to chat if we have a little extra time. He goes, Chris, that's what I've been trying to tell you. They're in the pub waiting for you. So off we go to the pub at 11:30 in the morning, which, as you know, they don't open, but he had made special arrangements. We're taking the stools off the bar tops, and that began my long-lasting love affair with the Irish pubs and the warmth and joy that can be found in there. I'm going to leave you with a thought tonight and a challenge as well. In 1995, Thomas Cahill wrote a wonderful, readable, delightful book, How the Irish Saved Civilization. I'm sure many of you have read it. For those that haven't, you know it's a story of how Irish monks and scribes in the Middle Ages copied all the important European documents of the time and saved them, because on the continent during the Dark Ages there were all these purges and these things were being destroyed and burned and lost forever. To many of us today in the United States and around the world, this feels a little bit like the Dark Ages again, doesn't it? The world is a very angry place right now. People all over the world are struggling with each other. They're focused on what divides us, not what unites us. We're entrenched in our strident positions. We find this country against country, religion against religion, neighbor against neighbor, and inside our own families. No ability to understand or see or respect the opinions of others. I think it's time for the Irish to step up and save civilization once again. And here's my plan. If we could just get you all into the pubs, Chris, and to sit around and let that Irish warmth and hospitality and sense of family and importance of community and heritage and just love of this planet Earth wash over all of us. You know, there's an interesting statistic in that book about how the Irish saved civilization. Ireland is the only Catholic country in the world that does not have a martyr. Catholicism came onto the continent. It was embraced by the Irish. Everywhere else, people died to get that religion embedded. It's because the Irish were too much having a good time and just wanted people to come in and be together. And I think it's that same kind of spirit among us as Ireland, that we can make a change in this world. It has to start in this room, from the Mayo Society and all of us, to reach out to someone that we don't agree with or has a different view than us, and let's think a little bit about saving civilization once again. I'm confident the Irish can do just that. Thank you for being here tonight. God bless County Mayo, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
I better not drop this home. This bowl is Mayo Crystal, and it's made in Castlebar, County Mayo, especially for Chris Connor, Mayo Person of the Year 2017. Chris, from us, Mayo Society. We have a number of proclamations here from various government officials. This one is from Armin Budish, our county executive. Chris, number one. This one is from Senator Matt Dolan.
Go try.
The Honorable Marcy Kaptur, Congressman Marcy Kaptur. And this one is from Senator Sherwin Brown. And this one is from the Mayor of the City of Cleveland, Frank Jackson. And I must tell you, he's going to read every one of those when he goes home tonight.